What if there was a gospel that never made it into the Bible? A gospel with no miracles, no crucifixion, and no resurrection. Just the words of Jesus, strange, poetic, and deeply mystical. In 1945, near the Egyptian town of Nag Hammadi, a farmer unearthed a sealed jar buried in the ground. Inside, a collection of ancient texts, hidden for over 1,600 years. Among them, the Gospel of Thomas. A gospel that speaks of divine light inside us, of secret knowledge, and of a kingdom not in the clouds, but within. Was this the original voice of Jesus? Or a dangerous heresy meant to be forgotten? Let's explore the mysterious Gospel of Thomas, and what it might reveal. The Gospel of Thomas isn't like the others. It has no story, no plot. Just 114 short sayings, or logia, attributed to Jesus. The very first line reads, "These are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke, and Didymos Judas Thomas recorded." Didymos and Thomas both mean twin. Some believed he was Jesus' twin brother, or a symbolic double. Others say this name was used to give the text authority. Unlike the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, Thomas doesn't describe miracles or historical events. Instead, it presents Jesus as a teacher of hidden wisdom, someone who challenges you to look inward for truth. This gospel doesn't demand faith. It invites discovery. The Gospel of Thomas isn't about what to believe. It's about what to discover, within yourself. Here are some of its most powerful and puzzling sayings. Saying 3. If those who lead you, say to you, "See, the kingdom is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and it is outside you. This flips the idea of heaven as a faraway realm. To the author of Thomas, the divine isn't distant, it's right here, within your awareness. Saying 70. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This sounds more like a psychological or spiritual riddle than religious doctrine. It's deeply Gnostic, the belief that salvation comes not from external rituals, but through inner knowledge, or gnosis. Saying 77. I am the light that is over all things. I am all, from me all came forth, and to me all attained. Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift a stone, you will find me there. Here, Jesus is portrayed not just as a man, but as a cosmic presence infused in all things. This echoes mystical traditions found in both the East and the West. Whatever the meaning, the Gospel of Thomas invites interpretation, not instruction. By the 4th century, the early Christian church was consolidating its beliefs. It needed unity, authority, and texts like the Gospel of Thomas didn't fit the mold. This gospel doesn't portray Jesus as a savior who dies for sin, but as a teacher who awakens your spirit. It doesn't emphasize faith in a church, but knowledge within the self. This was dangerous, especially to a growing institution that claimed to be the gatekeeper of truth. The Gospel of Thomas reflects Gnostic thought, a movement considered heretical by the early church. Gnostics believed that the material world was a lesser realm, created by a flawed power, and that true salvation came from gnosis, inner knowledge of one's divine origin. That challenged church authority. And so, at councils like Nicaea and Hippo, church leaders defined what would become the official Bible. Thomas didn't make the cut. Its teachings were labeled heresy, and its manuscripts were buried, hidden, or destroyed. But one copy survived, quietly sleeping under Egyptian soil for over 1,000 years. Until 1945. Since the Gospel of Thomas was rediscovered, scholars have debated its origins and significance. Some view it as an earlier gospel, perhaps even closer to the original teachings of Jesus than the canonical texts we know today. One key point, Thomas doesn't reference the events of Jesus' life in the way the synoptic gospels do. There are no nativity stories, no crucifixion, no resurrection. Instead, it's a collection of sayings, teachings that resemble the wisdom literature of the time. Some scholars, like Elaine Pagels, argue that Thomas could have been written around the same time as the synoptic gospels, the 1st century CE. If true, it might reflect a very early form of Christianity, one that didn't emphasize Jesus' death and resurrection, but instead focused on personal transformation and enlightenment. Others suggest that Thomas is later, possibly from the 2nd century, written by a Gnostic sect. This would explain its mystical teachings and its absence from the official biblical canon. But one thing most scholars agree on is this: the Gospel of Thomas presents a different view of Jesus, one that challenges the central doctrines of Christianity as we know it today. Some see Thomas as a spiritual text, offering deeper insight into Jesus' message, a message that's not about external salvation, but inner awakening. What do you think about the Gospel of Thomas? Was it an authentic voice of Jesus, or a radically different version of his teachings?